Hello and welcome to Blender Age Builders Part 6, Finishing the Age. I'm going to just lay things out. It's very hot up here in my room. I've worked very hard the last couple of days. I got a cup of tea over here. I'm going to sip on it, and that might annoy you. This may not be very professional because I may stumble over my words or forget something. And I'm just going to have to deal with it. I've done this video a couple of times now, and it's good because this gives me a way to learn Blender 249B, to look it in the eyes and to face my fears and to learn how to use the program. It gives me a project, and I can keep going with this as far as I want to go and keep putting out videos for you guys. But I need to progress. I can't keep doing one step forward and two steps back. So in this video we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to first delete our old stairs. And I forgot to put mine back in so I can delete them with you. So I messed up on the player step. Well, I didn't mess up. I was guessing there would be 1 unit. And the player step height, they can go down 1 unit stairs just fine, but they can only go upstairs that are under range of between 0.6 BU to 0.699 BU. Somewhere in there. I tried 0.7 and 0.8, 0.7 and 0.8, and those were too high. We're going to stick with 0.5 because that'll work with our grid. Remember, our grid is in units of 10. 10 little boxes for each big box. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to explain those sizes to you more clearly here as well. Okay, so the first step, I'm not going to be able to take you through it. I did that the last time I tried to do this video, but I'd have to re-add everything. I had to re-add these planters, so they may not look the same as before. But you're going to have stairs here, 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 and here if you've been following along. And if you haven't been following along, you should go back to the previous video so you can get to this point. So what I'm going to do is I've clicked on this. You see it's highlighted. It's pink. I'm going to press Tab. And now we're in vertex mode. I'm going to press Control Tab, and we're going to go to face mode. And all you do is you press B and you box select. Now when you do that, this face here, and if you have any faces over here, you probably shouldn't yet, but this face here might select. So just go through. Remember, B is cumulative. So each time you select something, you can just keep adding to the selection and adding to the selection. I don't remember if it's Alt B or what it is, but you can just keep doing that to take away from the selection. I know that shift click will deselect stuff, but I need to cover that at some point. I'll make a note here on my thing. I'll figure that out, and I will make sure that I present that information to you. But right now, just go ahead and select all your stairs and then delete them. Just press X. So I'm going to click on this face. This is not what I want you to delete, but I'm clicking on this to show you what to do. Press X and then delete faces in the erase menu here. You want to delete faces only. And what you should be left with is this. It should look just like this. This middle area should still be here. If you lose this middle area, you can either press Control Z to undo, or you can press Shift C, which will center your cursor to the middle, press spacebar, and add a plane. And you know, from the first video, we did a plane that was 20 units by 20 units, and then you would have to drag it into place because it's a little lower than where it would add. So you have to drag it down 5 units. That's technically not 5. I have to discuss sizes with you. Maybe it is 5. Anyway, I have to discuss sizes now. We have to do that. So get your level to this point. And I'm sorry I'm not able to. I said I wasn't going to do any apologies, but I am going to apologize for that. I do not have any way of doing it with you, or I'd have to just rebuild everything just to do it with you. So I'm going to assume that you're at this point now. Pause the video if you're not. Get to this point. So the stairs are gone, and all that's left is your planters, your middle area, your obelisk, and your walls. Okay, I'm assuming you've paused, you've come to this point, we're ready to go, and we can now proceed. So I want to explain sizes to you really quick. This is kind of confusing, but I need to make this so you can understand it. So I've right-clicked over here on the grid. I'm going to press Shift S and I'm going to go cursor to the grid. And I'm going to press space bar and I'm going to add a plane. The default plane in Blender, oh, I had an issue there. I think my shift key is not working. Anyway, this is 2 units by 2 units. But if I was to zoom out, this space right here looks like 2 units by 2 units. But that's actually equivalent to this space, which we know is 20 by 20. So we're increasing by powers of 10 as we zoom out. Now we're in the range of 200 by 200. Okay? And you go down, I guess you could say by, I don't know if it's powers of 100 or what, I'm not a mathematician, but you go down in size as you scroll down. So if I was to press in, and excuse me, I made a mistake. But that's okay, we'll correct it. I don't know how to access the thing I want to access while we're in an object mode. Remember, or no, maybe I haven't mentioned this yet because I did that in the last video. When you, what is going on here? I see some, oh, those are faces, okay. When you add something when in an object sub-object mode, it becomes part of the object. It adds as part of the object. You have a limited things you can add to it, so you can add planes and stuff, and we might be able to use that later. I did find a use for that. In this case, I want it separate, so I'm going to press Tab, and no, Tab again. We've got a face here. It's selected. I'm going to press P and separate selected. And now I'm going to press Tab, which gets me out of this thing's sub-object mode, and go over here and select this. And now we should be able to do what I want to do. So we now have our, oh, and that's another thing I want to point out. If you press and hold Control and use the mouse scroll wheel, you'll scroll from side to side. And Shift will scroll you up and down. So that's kind of a nice little handy tool to keep in mind. So press and hold Shift and scroll the mouse wheel to go up and down. Press and hold Control and scroll the mouse wheel to pan left and right. It's not a smooth pan, but that's a way to do it there. Anyway, pressing in, and now we got the box I want. I don't know how to access this dimension stuff in edit mode. I'll have to look into that too. I'll put that down here too. So that'll be something else that we need to learn together. So here's our proof, 2 by 2 by 0, because it's a plane, there's no depth, no z-axis. Remember, z is pointing towards you, and that's our depth. If I type in 0.2 and press enter, and you can also shift click in these and it'll immediately highlight it and click in there, 0.2, instead of just trying to fiddle around and then enter to confirm. So you can just do that as well. That's from another video. I give credit to whoever that was, but I can't remember their name right now. Something happened that wasn't supposed to happen, I think. Where's my, I've lost my mesh. Okay, Control Z. I'm sure I had that right. Oh. Okay. There we go. I think I lost track of things here. And now it's moving. Some weird stuff going on. So 0.2 enter. What? I'm a little confused. I know I'm in the right box, but it just disappeared. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this because this is just not working. I'm pressing X and just deleting this. I don't know why it's being a putz, but pressing spacebar, adding another plane. Okay, now we can try this again. 0.2 enter. Alright, shift click. 0.2 enter. Okay, this is what we wanted. So now we scroll down. We see we're still 2 units by 2 units, but in this case it's 0.2. So I don't know that you call that 0.02 of a unit or what that would be. If we were to equate this, excuse me for a second. to real unit space, well, I would say that 0.5, I'm going to shift click in here, and shift click 0.5, that would be roughly equivalent to 6 inches or half a foot. So 0.2, probably somewhere between the range of 2 to 4 inches, approximately. So we're looking at, right here, we're looking at half the size of a ruler. And if I did 1 by 1, it'd be slightly smaller than a ruler, but you could think of that to be about the size of a ruler. That's the best way I can think to describe it. So the grid changes. It'll go up as you zoom out by hundreds, and it'll go down by, I guess, hundreds as you zoom in. I'm a little rusty on my arithmetic, but we want to keep that in mind. The reason why we want to know that is because the player step height is 0.5. So this right here, if this was facing in front of the player, that would be too high. But this size right here, 0.5, that's how high the player can walk. That's how high their step height is. So we want to know about that. And we know that the player size in relation to that is 2 by 2. So that's how big the player is. So their step height is approximately 1/10. Would that be an accurate way of saying it? 10% of their space, their dimensional space. They can step up about 10%, as big as their we're talking about looking down at them head and shoulders, the space that they would take up if we put a cube around them. Anyway, just wanted to make sure that you understood that, because before I was saying 6 units and I was saying things like that, and that wasn't accurate. It's actually, we got to get down into the 0 dot units when we're dealing with our steps that we're going to do right now. No more needing to mess with that. So I pressed X and I deleted it, Shift C, and I centered the cursor. Pressing numpad 1 puts me into front orthographic view. So our step height is going to be 0.5 units. Excuse me, I almost said it again. 0.5 units, which is right about here, halfway. And we're going to go 1 length here. So they're going to be twice as deep as they are tall, I guess is the best way to describe it. Okay, numpad 7. And right-clicking here, and Shift S and cursor to grid. And I'm pressing spacebar, and we're adding a plane, and we've done this before, so this should be pretty familiar. I think we did this in the spline modeling video. Control tab, vertices, and A, and shift clicking here. Getting rid of these 3X, and that gives me the erase menu. Deleting vertices, we've got 1 vertex here now. Pressing numpad 1. And we're going to do the same thing we did before, we're just doing a different stair height now. So we're going to go down 0.5 units. So press and hold Control and right click. And then over, and that's 0, what would that be? 1.0, yeah. Going over 1.0 units. Control, and just keep going. And hopefully this time I'll have it right, because the last time I had my calculations wrong. A little hint, if you're trying to do math and you're tired, give up. Go take a nap. You're going to fail. If your body's tired, your brain ain't going to work. I can tell you from personal experience. Your brain's going to say, what the heck are you trying to do with me? And it's not going to function at all. Now, if these look slightly different than yours, that's okay. I've done some fiddling around and adjusted stuff, so you're free to do that, just so that you have a general idea of a structure here, that when we have the bevel or the curve or whatever you have on yours, it comes to the top of where the stairs are going to be. Just so it's roughly approximate, you can keep track of where you are in comparison to what I'm doing here. You're allowed a little bit of freedom. You don't have to follow me exactly. That's part of the fun of this. You can play around. And if you get lost, you can ask a question. I will help you. I'm not going to sit there and yell at you because you didn't follow me exactly. I will encourage you to explore, and I will help you. I swear I will help you. I may not get back to you right away, but I will help you. So that's our stairs, and worked out. Actually, the math worked out pretty good in this because this is also 1 unit deep, so everything here kind of equivalates like it's supposed to. So maybe this will be good for once. This is like the up 10th time I've done it. Pressing all the control, right clicking, they're all selected. Zooming in, because remember our snap is controlled by our zoom size. We want to snap it to this size of the grid. So pressing Shift S and snapping selection to the grid, and bam, we're in place. Now we want this to be set. It was probably already on median, and you'll want it now set to 3D cursor. And we want to go to Tab and Shift C. And our origin is out here. We want to change that. So we've got actually 3 options here. I think I said 2 before, but there's actually 3. It doesn't look like 3 to me back where I'm sitting. But you got center, center in, and center cursor. I'm going to put it on center. Okay. Well, now we know what that does. So we put it on center. The geometry of the mesh now moves to where the origin is. And it's on the grid, too, oddly enough. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that because that was fun to that's part of the whole process that I wanted to do in this tutorial. I wanted to explore and discover stuff with you guys. So no, Shift S, and so, yeah, it's right on the grid, so we're good. Okay, now before we proceed, there's something else we have to deal with. There is something on, and I'm going to make a video about this later. I think it'll just be a Blender tips and tricks, or just a full Blender tutorial, non-related to the series, but like supplemental material that you'll want to watch, because I don't know that I'm going to get into this for you yet. Once I have you successfully importing, exporting an age, and being able to play your own age, I will consider my job here with this series done, and then anything I do after that will be bonus material. So texturing, adding all that kind of stuff would be later on if I did it at all. But I would like to do a video kind of going into this, and I did a Blender tips and tricks covering a little of this. You should look into that on my YouTube channel. But if I press Tab here, and I go to Control Tab, and I go to Faces, I can check which way these faces are facing. So I got to go here to Global, which is our orientation menu, and click on Normal. Now if I click on a normal, first I'm going to change this back to, not this here to median, because that would put it back over onto the, you see that the normal is pointing this way, and if I go here, the normal is pointing down. Well, what that means is, and what I found when I first did the first set of stairs and tested them out, and I went ahead a little bit, and I got the stairs in, I did a little bit of texturing work. I even made a texture and made normals for it and played with it. So I did a little bit of work ahead, so I know what I was covering. But I still wanted to, work through it with you guys. But I wanted to also kind of know what I was doing. And I found out that I couldn't see the stairs. They were invisible. Well, that's because the normals weren't facing the right way. And you can see right here, because of what I did when I did the extrusion, or the way the extrusion is done itself, it just screws up the normals. There's probably a way to extrude it where the normals are where we want them to be, but I don't know what that would be. I can't venture to guess. I will make that actually another question. We need to change this. So I'm pressing numpad 7 and we're in face mode, so I'm pressing A to deselect, I'm pressing B to box select, I'm dragging over. And what I can do is, just with this small section here, I can now change the normals collectively on average, is the best way I can think to phrase it, by going over here to the no, I am in the right menu. Okay, we've moved over here a little. I'm going to go over that way. So it's here on F9, editing, and you want to go here to flip normal. And when you've done that, now you see that this arrow is pointing up. Well, that's, I think, like a collective or an average of all the normals. So if I press A again and I click on these, I can check, and they're all pointing correctly. These, the steps fronts are pointing towards you, and the step surfaces are pointing up. Now this also comes into play when we deal with normal mapping and texturing and how textures are projected and used on a mesh. This all ties together. It's very important to understand this thing about normals direction. This is a very important piece of information. Do not forget this. You want to remember this. So I'm going to go back here now to global. I'm going to change this to 3D cursor. Now that we fixed this, we don't have to worry about the other ones. We don't have to fix a whole bunch of them. We can just fix one, and then they'll all be all good because we're going to copy them. I'm going to press tab. I'm going to press shift D, press R, press and hold control, and you know the routine. Snap it into place, shift click, shift D, R, and control, and our stairs are now done again. We're now back to where we were originally before I messed up. And now we can attach these, go ahead and attach them to our mesh. Now the player will be able to go up and down these stairs. And I see some problems here. It looks like our stairs came out a little bit high. So I'm going to see if they're selected, and they're not. So shift click on these, numpad 1, and let's lower these down and put them into place. Because remember what I did with the origin, it kind of changed things. So shift S, selection of grid, we're good. Okay, and pressing Z, and it looks good. Now, I tried playing with these faces. I said something about homework in one of these videos about deleting these faces and then trying to merge them in with the stairs. If you didn't do that homework, that's okay. We're going to skip that. That was not a good assignment. I tried playing around with it. I can't find any good way to do it. What would have to happen, as far as my limited knowledge in Blender, would be we would have to find a way to split this so we'd have here, 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 all the way down. So we would have roughly, what, 10 sets of 20 vertices or so on here. So we'd really up the geometry, and all we'd be getting rid of is this little flat face here. Well, this face is not where the player can see it, and it's not going to cost the processor or the game engine or whatever, it's not going to cost it any amount of speed in comparison to a bunch of vertices. I was able to cut it diagonally using the knife tool and get rid of half of it. And I suppose if I was desperate I would do that, but I think it's just better to leave it alone for now until I have a better idea of if there's any other way to handle that. So don't even bother with that. Throw that homework assignment out. If you didn't do it, great. If you did, I apologize. But I'm glad if you did, because I shouldn't apologize again, but I'm glad if you did, because it helps you to understand and explore the tools. So you gain yourself a little bit of knowledge. I can relabel it as a challenge. If you would like the challenge, I mean, if you really want to tackle the challenge of figuring out how to make a face here that removes this unseen portion and ties in with the stairs and welds all the verses together and doesn't create a lot of excess geometry, and I don't think you can do it, but if you want to try, I'm not going to stop you. Go for it. It'll teach you the tools. You know, if it interests you, go for it. But I'm taking it off of a homework thing. I'm not even, you know, the only reason for a challenge is if you want to challenge yourself. There's no reward, I'm not going to give you any kind of incentive or anything for that. I'm just throwing it out there as something that at this point I don't know any other solution to, so I'm leaving it alone. But if you want to tackle it, I'm going to say, you know, more power to you. And, you know, make a video about it if you can, or do a written tutorial if you can't, and post a link in the comments. and I will mention you in one of my videos if I find it and am doing a video where I can mention that. So next step, we've got these selected. I'm going to shift click over here. Now we have the middle area selected. I'm going to press Control J and we're going to join them. Okay, our next step now is to tie everything together. We need a walkway that we can get around on. And I have got to figure out the best way to do it, and it's probably going to be a little bit tough again, but I did it once. Pressing tab, we're in face mode, so that isn't going to work. I'm going to go to vertex mode to begin with. And in this case, I'm going to try and do this in the 3D view. So, I'm thinking to start with, let's see, how about, let's just click on, hit shift click, that one's too low. You want the base of your curve one here. So now I've got 4 vertices selected. It takes 4 vertices to make a face. So let's press F. I don't think it's going to work because this here. But let's, well, maybe it will. Let's press, yeah, okay, create the face. But the issue with this, if we wanted to be picky, is that there's no tie-in here. And we can do that. We're not going to be tying in the vertices. We got to also do an edge split, which would be a good thing to learn, and split the edge right there, or a knife cut. Yeah, let's try a knife cut. Let's see if we can learn that. I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I'm going to go to edges and A, and we're just going to select that one, and if I can get to it. I don't know if it'll help to use our, we can only do that in shaded mode anyway. Let me see. Is that easier to do that in shaded mode? It's not, well, no, it works. Okay, well, whichever way it works. If you do that, you can do this limit, this include background geometry. So what we need here is, I think we have Control E for the edge tools, and we got a couple of things here. Let's see, we got an edge slide, we got edge loop, but that's not giving me any kind of a cut. If I press K, that gives us the knife tool. We can do a loop cut. Oh, okay. And the loop cut, it gives us this purple line here. I'm going to right click because I can't see anything. I'm going to press that again and go to loop cut. So I could cut once here, and then I could cut again. Let's try that first. So I'm going to purple line in the middle. I think it's enter or left click, a left click to confirm. Oh, okay, and you can slide it. Okay, good. So left click, slide it, left click again. Now let's select the same edges. Not the same exactly. And we'll do it again. We'll press K and we'll go to loop cut and get the purple line on there. Left click and drag it. Okay, so there's our first set in there. Now we'll press numpad 7. This is cool. I was learning this in the newer version of Blender, but I had no real experience with it here at all. So now let's try edge mode. It might be easier because we can see the edges right here. So we'll just shift click on the edges and we'll zoom in because I'm picky. I want to get these on the grids. I'm going to press shift S, selection to grid. That may not work. I'll press A because no, it looks like it worked. I don't know how to make it snap when we cut. That was a little more straightforward in the newer version. Okay. Now A and selecting over here. and grab and control and shift S. I think we did it. Okay. So here's one area where we can use this, not the add thing I was thinking of, but something else would come in handy here. We can find out that we can actually rotate and duplicate faces. That was a pretty cool trick that I learned when I figured that out. So we still have our rotate over here. So go ahead and press Shift D and press R and Control. Isn't that just awesome? We do have to do it like, you know, one set at a time. It might be hard to get to it otherwise. But Shift D R Control, and now we have everything in place. Now this does something else for us as well. Now if I press Control Tab and go to Vertices, we have an easy square here. It's quite clear to see where we need to go. So Shift click, all. Press A, Shift click the 4 vertices. This one here will be the hard one to get to, but press F, and if you want to, you don't have to keep doing that. That could be kind of tedious. So if you want to just do the duplication method again, Shift D, R, and Control. I've never tried doing it on a vertex level, but that's working too. Okay, got a problem. Oh, Shift Control Z. Okay, Shift D, R, and Control. Okay, so we're good there. So, but we do have a problem. We've got 1, 2 vertices here, and then we've got 2 each here. So to fix that problem, I'm going to go ahead and click on these and press, actually I'm going to press all and make sure I have nothing selected but that, and press grab and control and move it over here. And grab and control and move it. And I'm going to do that all the way along. Now this video might end up going over my half-hour goal. I don't know. I'm hoping it won't, but it might. I'm doing the best I can. But we learned some really cool stuff, so this video is going to be worth its time spent. Okay, so we're all done there. Obviously, we might want to weld now, but we can wait a second. Let's middle mouse click, get in there, and this time I'm going to just shift click, and that did deselect what I had, so that worked. Now, if this obelisk is getting in your way, remember we can just click the eyeball or Alt-H to hide and unhide. Pressing F, pressing numpad 7, and pressing Shift D and R, and Shift D and R, Shift D and R. Pressing and holding Control. Keep it on the grid. Okay, and that should do our floor, but we need to make sure of something. Are we level where we need to be? Do we have anything straight? It doesn't look like it, so I think we're good. Okay. A twice, Control V, and we're going to remove doubles. And we've just removed it down to 68 vertices. Pressing A again, pressing Tab, pressing Z, and we're going to take a look at what we have here. And now we have our main area completed. Actually, we might be done, so we might just make it under our time limit. And I'll try to answer these questions. I don't know if I'll do like a last video where I try to figure that stuff out or what. Yeah, we added the walkway, we did the double. So we can call that good, and hopefully I'm under a half an hour, and I'll see you in the next video.